U.S. stocks maintained their narrow gains across the board on Tuesday afternoon, just prior to the closing bell, looking to hopefully put an end to the recent four-day slide, lifted by a handful of retailers as well as bond yields falling from their recent highs. Now, with no major economic news in the United States today, investors have already continued to focus on the Fed and when it will start to scale back its stimulus efforts. Investors have already been gearing up for tomorrow, which is when the Fed meeting minutes will be released. Meanwhile, we had the yield on the 10-year Treasury note slip to near 2.83%, this after hitting a fresh two-year high of 2.9% on Monday. Global markets, meanwhile, also in focus, continuing to take a hit about worries over the reduced Fed stimulus likelihood. European markets, they continue to trade lower across the board. And in Asia, Japan's Nikkei 225 index closing near a two-month low, and China's Shanghai Composite falling 0.6%. And with oil prices today dipping ahead of the Fed and the U.S. dollar touching a six-month low against the higher-yielding euro, it looked to be quite the interesting and close, narrow finish for the Dow Jones this Tuesday. Speaking of which, taking a look now to see how the Dow Jones has fared today. The Dow Jones is lower, 7 3/4 points to settle in just a slight bit above 15,000 at 15,002.99. In a breakdown of today's major market movers, we first begin with shares of Best Buy, which did surge to lead the S&P 500 gainers. This after the consumer electronics retail company easily beat Wall Street expectations. Urban Outfitters also on the upside after posting earnings that beat expectations. JCPenney was trading higher even after posting sales that continued to fall sharply last quarter. The rise was due mostly in part to the retailer saying that the back-to-school season has so far been encouraging. And lastly, Dow component Home Depot posted second quarter earnings that topped expectations while also raising its full-year guidance.